Joe Biden, at the start of his presidency, I tried to tell people that Joe Biden was continuing some of Donald Trump's policies. Well, that continues today because now Joe Biden is getting a lot of criticism, not just from the Democratic Party, but also from people from the left as well, because he has decided to expand Trump's border wall. I kid you not. Let's get into this clip here from NBC News.
A new effort to build a border wall tonight, coming from an unexpected place, the White House. In an official notice, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas saying there is an acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers to prevent unlawful entries into the United States. Facing a growing influx of migrants illegally entering the country, the administration is waiving 26 federal laws in order to allow more wall construction, using money allocated before President Biden took office. It's a sharp policy shift for a president who once called a wall spanning the southern border a waste of time. The new construction will be along a stretch of border in Starr County, Texas. And tonight, former President Trump, who built his successful 2016 presidential campaign around a promise to build a border wall, is claiming vindication. Peter Alexander now with late details.
So let's go ahead and chime in here for just a second, and then we'll continue the video. We have to remember when Trump was president and he said he wanted to, build this wall, even when he was running during that time. Remember, the Democratic Party was heavily critical about an idea of a wall. They opposed it. They were against it. Let's all remember AOC crying at the border, the tears coming down her face, saying, "Oh my God, the kids are in cages." We remember all this happening when Trump was president, but some of those things still remain. Kids are still in cages. AOC has no tears. Now you have Joe Biden adding on to Trump's border wall. Now, all of a sudden, a lot of Democrats are either silent about this or they're actually defending Joe Biden. And AOC is one of them that is actually defending him. And she's actually saying that this isn't even true. Multiple outlets have reported this, including the New York Times. We'll show you that in just a second. But AOC is out here telling people that this is not true. You see how bad this is in reference to party politics?
Tonight, a major reversal. The Biden administration announcing it is waiving 26 federal laws to permit more border wall construction in southern Texas, amid a record 3 million migrants crossing the border in the past year. The head of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, overnight declaring there is presently an acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers and roads to prevent illegal crossings in Starr County, Texas. But President Biden today appeared to contradict his own DHS secretary.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No. Insisting his administration is not building more wall because of the surge in migrants, but because they were required by law to spend money Congress allocated during the Trump administration.
They have to use the money for what was appropriate. I can't stop that.
Nah. Money moves. Money moves, people, right? So how many times have we seen where money has been allocated towards one thing, but our government will move that money to something else? Let's go back to the pandemic. Remember when Joe Biden, we had those pandemic relief funds? Remember when Joe Biden used some of that money and allocated it towards the police? Now, all of a sudden, you can't move money. They seem to forget. I don't.
Speaking in direct contradiction to what his own
I know, I hear you. I hear you. I'm speaking for the president. I'm saying that he has said that he does not believe a border wall is effective.
And late today, this from the DHS secretary traveling in Mexico City.
There is no new administration policy with respect to the border wall.
Still, it comes after the president repeatedly slammed the wall and former President Trump during the campaign.
There will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration.
See how they just lie? See how they just lie? Like, honestly, people, you cannot defend it. You really can't. But people are. People are out there defending Joe Biden. Lie after lie after lie.
Tonight, Mr. Trump arguing he's been proven right, posting there are only two things that have consistently worked: wheels and walls. Will Joe Biden apologize to me and America for taking so long to get moving? The latest NBC News poll shows Americans give Republicans an 18-point advantage when asked who would better handle immigration, the largest ever deficit for Democrats on this issue.
And Peter joining me now. Peter, the administration tonight announced it will resume deportation flights for migrants from one country.
Lester, that's right. Border officials are currently seeing more migrants from Venezuela than from anywhere else, and now they will once again face those deportation flights.
Let's pause there. Let's all remember Anya already debunked this. When I interviewed Anya recently, I said, they keep saying all the migrants are coming from Venezuela. What did Anya tell you? Anya said most of those people had already left Venezuela and they were living in other Latin American countries trying to have a better life there, only to realize that shit was bad in Colombia too. Then begin to make their way to the United States. You got to pay attention to these things.
This comes after the Biden administration gave temporary legal status to 500,000 Venezuelans.
Thanks for watching.
Okay, so watch this. AOC, mind you, is about to debunk what we just saw. Listen to this. She put out a statement from Representative Ocasio-Cortez urges Biden administration to reverse decision on border wall. Listen to this. Representative AOC released the following statement after news broke today that the Biden administration is expediting construction on parts of the border wall. The Biden administration was not required to expand construction of the border wall, and they certainly were not required to waive several environmental laws to expedite the building. The president needs to take responsibility for this decision and reverse course. A wall does nothing to deter people who are fleeing poverty and violence from coming to the United States. You do not risk your life or your children's lives going through the Darien Gap or traversing hundreds of miles of the desert if you have any other options. Walls only serve to push migrants into more remote areas, increasing their chances of death. It is a cruel policy. So AOC is actually saying that what they just told you in the media, what they're saying is incorrect. She's saying the Biden administration was not required to continue on to add on to the border wall. But AOC openly endorsed Joe Biden. Is AOC going to retract her endorsement for Joe Biden? No, she's not. And neither are the rest of them. Jamal Bowman, they're all going to still back and get behind Joe Biden. And he's continuing something that Donald Trump started, which they all opposed, and they'll still get behind him. Makes no sense. Instead, the U.S. must take examining the root of migration more seriously, re-examine policy towards Latin America, and stop contributing to the destabilization that drives migration, as Senator Marco Rubio's Venezuela sanctions have done. Let me show you what she just did here. As Senator Marco Rubio's Venezuela sanctions have done, she purposely identified a Republican politician to blame for sanctions. Sanctions have happened under Democrats and under Republicans. And it's not just Venezuela, right? The Biden administration has put sanctions on countries right now. But she's smart here. Notice she makes it seem like this is something that the Republicans are doing, not the Democrats. Notice she didn't call out Joe Biden when it comes to sanctions. Pay attention to stuff like that. We also have to finally invest in meaningful immigration reform. So what AOC did here, because see, when I told you before that she makes sure that she look out for her people, she look out for her people. She makes sure when it comes to an immigration issue, when it comes to an issue about Latin Americans, she makes sure she try to look out for her people because that's the majority of her constituents in her district. So she paying attention to that. But what she did in this statement, she said, oh, let me come and defend, my constituents. Let me defend the people who are trying to migrate here. But at the same time, she calls out the Republican Marco Rubio to make you think that it's just the Republicans who have done this. This is how AOC kind of straddles the middle a little bit. This is what she does. She goes kind of far to an extent to make it seem like she's still progressive. But at the same time, she still makes sure she maintains that base within Democratic leadership and the status quo. This is why I said before, I think AOC is one of the most dangerous politicians when we talk about political careerists, because AOC is on track right now. If she continues this way, she's on track right now to become the next Nancy Pelosi. This is the same kind of stuff Nancy Pelosi did, especially at the very beginning of her career. Remember, Nancy Pelosi, at one point in time, she's on TV, on record, supporting universal health care. And over time, she slowly started to walk it back. That's AOC. Now, the New York Times also called this out. U.S. will build stretch of border wall and begin deportations to Venezuela. So we can see some of the people here. The Biden administration on Thursday said it would expand former President Donald Trump's wall on the Mexican border and begin deporting thousands of Venezuelans in an effort to cut down on the migrant surge that shows no signs of abating. The moves are an about face by the White House, which is under political pressure to stem the flow of people. Criticism is intensifying among Republicans as well as Democratic leaders in New York, Chicago, and elsewhere who say the influx is overwhelming their ability to house and feed the migrants. During his campaign for president, Mr. Biden denounced efforts to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, saying it was not a serious policy solution. But on Thursday, the administration said it was waiving more than 20 federal laws and regulations to allow for the construction of physical barriers along a portion of the border of South Texas near McAllen. Let me show you the picture here. So here's Texas, and there's McAllen, and you can see here the proposed barriers right here. And let me go ahead and tell you something. This isn't going to be the solution. People will find a way in. I lived in a country once upon a time that had a wall. Germany. People still got in. People still found a way to get to the other side. People will find ways to get in. So what are they going to do? Are they going to build a wall around the entire United States? And I'm here to tell you, walls, people are like, yeah, it'll work. It'll solve the problem. It may keep some people out, but people will still find a way to get in. Let's go on. In announcing that the U.S. government would begin deporting Venezuelans who entered the U.S. unlawfully, the Biden administration was reversing a policy of not sending migrants back to the troubled South American country, where years of political unrest and economic turmoil have driven millions of people to flee. Let's stop there. Why do they have the economic turmoil? Part of that is because of the sanctions, right? Part of it is because of U.S. interference. We created this. We created this mess. And it's not just Venezuela. We destroyed Haiti. We're destroying Somalia right now. We destroyed Afghanistan. This is what the U.S. government does. And it goes on to say here, last month alone, 50,000 migrants from that country crossed the southern border, a record number, and they now represent the second largest nationality group, dwarfed only by Mexicans. So it is very important, guys, that we pay attention to what this administration is doing, because I'm going to keep it real with you. People say a lot when they're on the campaign trail, but more people need to start calling out how Joe Biden has continued Trump's policies. When people tell me that Biden is the lesser of two evils, I continue to tell you there is no lesser of two evils. And those people are really hesitant on purpose to point out the things that Biden has continued that Trump did. When we talk about the tax policies, that's another thing where Biden continued some of Trump's tax policies to protect people who are wealthy. We cannot leave these things out. And the more we continue to say that, the more people will start to realize that both of these parties are corporate and serve corporate interests, and that both of these parties are not looking out for the American people. Period. Echo J, I wonder if the folks who accuse Biden of open borders will cheer this move. Of course they won't. That's a good question, Echo J. Thank you, Jay Tolbert. Mr. President, if you don't stop this wall, I'm going to vote for you anyway. AOC. Bingo. Oh, man. Christian, every single drone missile we drop abroad, we're feeling right here at home. That's right. It all comes back to bite us.